Every child wants to be seen, not as a weapon, a tool, or a god of destruction who kicks down walls and watches cities burn. Just as a person, someone worth knowing, someone worth saving. That was Bertholdt Hoover's truth. Yet, he spent his whole life invisible, first to the world, then to himself. It began in the Liberio internment zone, behind the walls that caged his kind. His blood was called a curse, and his future was written before his first breath. Serve Mali or disappear. Because his father was sick and dying, in a world where medicine was a luxury Eldians couldn't afford, Bertholdt made a desperate choice. At only 11 years old, he inherited the colossal titan to ensure his father died with the care he deserved. He traded his humanity for a warm bed for a dying man, though no one ever asked if he actually wanted to. As it turned out, he was naturally gifted, which was the cruelest part. He wasn't a struggling recruit. He was a prodigy who mastered the god of destruction almost instantly. However, while the military saw a god, his subconscious saw a monster. During his years as a cadet, his friends laughed at his twisted sleeping positions, calling it weather forecasting, unaware that those shapes were the silent screams of a boy trying to crawl out of his own skin. He woke up in a cold sweat every night, but no one ever heard him. Everything changed when Marcel died because Reiner froze. When the Titan rose from the dirt, Marcel pushed Reiner aside and was swallowed, leaving Bertholdt to watch his leader disappear. He ran because that is what warriors are trained to do: survive and complete the mission. Later, as Annie beat Reiner bloody for his cowardice, Bertholdt could only stand there, tears streaming down his face, waiting for someone to tell him what to do. But no one did. They never did. Consequently, he kicked the wall, and humanity fell. Then came 5 years of pretending, 5 years of being a refugee, a cadet, and a friend. He ate bread with people who would have killed him if they knew he was the one who orphaned them. He sat beside Eren and Armin, laughing at their jokes while carrying the weight of their extinction in his pocket. He told himself it was necessary. Yet when he closed his eyes, the faces of the dead were all he could see. The guilt only deepened when Marco died because of them. Bertholdt didn't pull the trigger. While Reiner's mind split in two to cope, and Annie crystallized her heart, Bertholdt simply kept moving like a shadow. He buried the guilt in the hollow space behind his eyes, knowing that if he stopped to feel, the sheer weight of the bodies would crush him. Eventually, the mask shattered because Reiner finally broke. On top of Wall Rose, Reiner gave it all away, leaving Bertholdt's heart to pound against his ribs like a trapped bird. He had no control, and no will of his own. Even when Mikasa's blades flashed toward his throat, he didn't fight. He hoped it would end. Instead, Reiner saved him, forcing Bertholdt to keep living. Then came the breaking point in the forest of giant trees. As his former comrades screamed for answers, the quietest boy in the 104th finally found his voice, sobbing that he truly thought of them as comrades. For one moment, he wasn't a monster. He was a boy drowning in a sea of blood, begging for a hand to pull him out. Still, the world only saw the Titan. No one came. Ultimately, Shiganshina was the end. He hid in a barrel, waiting to be dropped like a bomb, and when he transformed, he became 60 meters of scorched earth. He watched Armin Arlert burn into a cinder, having decided to finally feel nothing. But Armin was a better gambler, and Eren's trick was perfect. In his final moments, ripped from the nape of his Titan and helpless, the warrior vanished. Looking up at the people he once called friends, he instinctively screamed for help. When he saw their cold, unforgiving eyes, he turned to the only names he had left. Annie, Reiner. He screamed for them like a prayer, until the jaws of Armin's Titan closed, and the light went out forever. And yet, in the very end, he returned not as a weapon, but as a memory in the paths. When Armin looked into his eyes and asked for help, Bertholdt finally made his own choice. He chose to help, not for Marley or a mission, but because beneath the fire, he was still the boy who wanted to be found. He died a monster, but he rose a man finally seen.